Welcome to the Empower Women in Menopause podcast with your girl, Trudie German. I'm an online personal trainer and wellness coach for women going through perimenopause. Over here, we talk about all things perimenopausal, menopausal, and postmenopausal, and how to thrive through this transition. We speak openly and candidly about what going through this change really consists of, the good, the bad, the ugly, and we also dismiss a lot of the myths or all the myths and talk about how this change affects you mentally, emotionally, physically, and professionally. So let's get into this week's episode. Hello, gorgeous. You know that grin, that giggle was coming. This is my 5th episode I'm recording today, and if I sounded different for a second there, it was because while I was speaking, I was backing up just to make sure that my mic was on, because I may or may not have recorded an episode where my mic wasn't on. Trudie here. If you are new here, welcome. If you're returning, my bad. Welcome back. Happy to have you either way. Before we jump into this week's episode or today's episode, where I'm going to be talking about how to build and maintain muscle mass during perimenopause, could you do me a favor? If you're not yet subscribed, could you subscribe? Yes, please. Also, over on YouTube, I drop videos, lots of mobility and core videos twice a week. Please subscribe there. The link is going to be down below. And if you have not yet rated and written a review, could you please, pretty please do that, please? Because when you do that, it will push, the algorithm will push my podcast out to more ladies going through perimenopause, and it will help them just like how I am hoping these episodes have been helping you. All right, so housekeeping out the way, let's get into how to build and maintain muscle mass during perimenopause. You want muscle mass for a few things, and muscle mass differs from being big and bulky. Okay, those are two different things. I know we're in a Pilates girly era, and I love it. I love Pilates. I do it a few times a month. I think maybe twice a month. Way back when I used to do it more often. And I've noticed Pilates has gotten very popular lately. I think it was Lori Harvey. That's when I noticed a lot of women, regardless of the age group, have been doing Pilates, which I love. Pilates are great. They are great for your core, and having core strength, especially at this stage, is important. A strong core helps to relieve incontinence. It helps with posture. It helps to alleviate back pain. And also, when you have a strong core, you can stand tall. You feel more confident. And a strong core differs from having abs. Those are two different things. Okay, you can have abs and have a weak core. Hi, I've been there before. Yoga is great. Yoga is amazing for your mind, for flexibility. Then we have dance classes, any type of dance, whether it's Zumba. I have women that I work with who absolutely love Zumba. I have friends who teach dance classes. I know other trainers who their thing is dance to get their clients results, because some women want to work out, but they don't want to feel like they're working out, and dance definitely help. Of course, we got jogging, running. I know I tell you ladies not to do it, but not to do it as often. That's a whole other thing, because it can really raise your cortisol level. I have women who I work with where they're like, please don't take running away from me. I absolutely love it. I still have them run. Excuse me. We just kind of cut back on the length and how often they run. And then, of course, we have different type of cardio like boxing, HIIT, all those boot camp styles. I'm not an advocate of women over 40 going through perimenopause looking to lose belly fat doing them, because you have the tendency to go overboard, and then what happens is you start gaining fat, especially around the belly, as opposed to losing it. Now, what do I suggest? So I wanted to list those, and I'm not saying they don't help you get rid of belly fat, they do. But you feel unhappy. You don't feel like yourself again. Nothing fits. And it just seems like the pounds, the inches are just piling on your waist no matter what you do. It doesn't matter how much you eat, how much you work out, no matter what you do. You just can't shake the weight around your waist. Well, guess what? I can help you with that, baby. I know how you feel. I know you feel tired. You are consistently moody. You don't feel like yourself again. You want to feel vivacious. You want to feel sexy. You want to feel confident. You want to feel happy. You want everything to fit. I know you do, right? Well, I can help you with that. Click the link below and come on over to join my 12-week program, Thrive, Transform, and Glow Through Perimenopause with Trudie. I promise you, you won't regret it. It is a 12-week program guaranteed to have you feeling amazing, guaranteed to have you losing the belly fat. And of course, in the process, of getting you to lose the belly fat, you are going to eliminate a lot of perimenopausal symptoms like hot flashes, night sweats, moodiness, insomnia. Hello, come on over, baby. Don't suffer no more. Let me help you. They don't do the same thing as lifting weights. I'm going to say lifting weights. If you've listened to multiple podcast episodes here, if you follow me on the gram, I push weight training, resistance training for a few reasons. All right, so if you're looking to lose belly fat at this stage, I am sure you're going to realize that what worked, you're over 40. What worked for you in your 20s and maybe your 30s are no longer working. That is because your body has changed, your hormones have changed. So the fat that you probably have is the visceral fat, the deep fat. And this fat is kind of dangerous because, it surrounds your organs. And of course, too much of it is linked to disease like diabetes, blood pressure, heart issues, and it can also lead to insulin resistance. What happens is during this stage, there's a drop in estrogen, right? And with that drop in estrogen, so remember, estrogen is not just a sex hormone. I know for a lot of us, when we hear estrogen, we think of it for pregnancy or just for a period. But it also helps to regulate fat storage and, of course, with our metabolism. So if it helps to do those things and it's decreasing, our metabolism is slowing down, and the way we're storing fat is not being regulated properly. So what can you do about it? Weight train, resistance training, and you're not going to look bulky. And I know you've heard me say this multiple times because it is true. You're not going to look bulky. I realize when a lot of women say, I don't want to look bulky, I don't want to look like a man, they think that that's possible. It kind of isn't, because we don't have enough testosterone to look like that. Any woman that you see that quote unquote look like a man, that wasn't done naturally, right? They were on something else. What I also want you to remember is at this stage, the drop in estrogen, this is what is happening. The drop in estrogen, with the drop in estrogen, we are losing muscle. So that muscle is turning into fat. And because we have more cortisol receptors right around our stomach, it seems like it sit on our stomach more. So we have to make sure that we're doing our part to combat that. Also at this stage, we automatically lose muscles. Once again, because of the drop in estrogen. You see how estrogen is important here, in you losing belly fat, building muscles, and in a lot of things here. So as I was mentioning before, when we get to this stage, the chances of us becoming insulin resistant is higher, right? So that may happen for a few reasons. One, the lack of sleep. If you experience insomnia during this stage, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Stress. I just spoke about stress on the cortisol level. I have a podcast episode dedicated to that. Same thing on sleep. I'm going to make sure it's linked below so you can take care of it. Alcohol consumption, processed food, all those things may lead to you becoming more insulin resistant and cause an imbalance in sugar level. And one thing that you can definitely do to combat that will also help with you losing belly fat is to add resistance training, right? So when you add resistance training 2 to 3 times a week, I don't suggest more than 4 days a week. So resistance training, or lifting heavy stuff. It could be dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, could be the machines in the gym. You can start with using your own body weight, but at some point you want to add the others, and I'll get into more details as to why. And you can also start with things like resistance band or TRX band, but even with the resistance band, at some point you're going to have to move to something that add more stimulus, because this is how you build the mass, right? So what happens is the more muscle mass you have, right, the more area for blood sugar to be shuffled to, instead of being stored in the fat cells. So this is another reason. Once again, at this stage, we are, and I'm saying we because I am 45-year-old and perimenopausal, so I'm putting it in myself in there. We are at a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. By adding resistance training, it will help us lose belly fat, but it can also help to prevent type 2 diabetes. Another reason you want to add resistance training, and I know this is supposed to be about losing belly fat, but I want you to see the other reasons, even if you don't have belly fat to lose, is that muscles are made up of mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of... Hey, I know you're here listening to the podcast, and I appreciate you, but you may be listening and maybe thinking you don't want to wait an entire week for another episode to drop. So for that, you can definitely follow me over on the gram and TikTok at Train with Trudie, because I do share tips on a daily basis over there. So Instagram and TikTok, Train with Trudie, Trudie. Come on over, hit the follow button. The cells, right? When you build muscles, when you have muscle mass, it gives you more energy. So the more energy you have, that's why some of us during perimenopause with muscles, people are like, how comes you always have so much energy? The mitochondria. So if you are low on energy, you definitely may want to start looking into lifting weights. And ladies, when I'm telling you to start lifting weights, I'm not telling you to walk into the gym and start lifting 50 pounds. You can start by lifting 5 pounds, by lifting 10 pounds. These are some of the things that my ladies who work with me, we definitely get to this at some point in our coaching sessions, because this is important, right? I know a lot of you may be afraid of joining the gym, afraid of doing weights because you don't know what to do and you're afraid of hurting yourself. I completely get that, because for someone who this is what I do, and when I go to the gym and some of the things that I see women doing, and even when they have their partners training them, I'm thinking that is a recipe for disaster waiting to happen. I wish I could go over and correct their form, but I'm on my business, right? But don't try to do this alone if you've never done it before. If you're not in a position to hire a trainer and you're going to a gym, I would say start with the machines. The machines are balanced, it is resistance, it is somewhere to start. And at some point, you may want to invest in someone showing you how to properly use the weights, your form, right? Because form is very important, even if you have muscles, right? Because if your form is not proper when you're completing any of these works, any moves, what's going to happen is you're increasing your chance for injury, and you may be out longer, and no one wants to be injured. Another reason you want to lift weights during perimenopause to lose belly fat is it speeds up your metabolism. The other stuff that I mentioned, the yoga, the Pilates, the cardio, all of those things, they may be great, but the minute you've completed them, especially with running, you start burning fat. With Pilates and yoga and all of those, of course, the nutrition, it doesn't matter what you're doing, the nutrition and the sleep is important. But the thing with lifting weights is you are burning fat while you're lifting weights and after you've completed lifting weights. And I'm not talking about the 5 pounds or 2 pounds where you can do 30 to 40 reps. That's not really going to do it. Your muscles need stimulant to grow, to burn fat. So each time, every week, you should be increasing your weights, or you need to do something different. Increase your weights, slow down the amount, the time under tension, but something to apply more stress on your muscles. And I know I'm talking about stress on the muscles, and you may be thinking, girl, I thought you said you don't want me stressing. When you work out, any of the workouts that I mentioned is applying stress to your body. Nothing's wrong with applying the stress. What you don't want is to remain under stress, right? So that's something else that weight training does that the other things that I mentioned don't do. It also helps with hormonal changes. As I've mentioned before, estrogen and progesterone are dropping at this stage, and those two are very important for the growth and maintenance of muscles, right? So once you're losing muscle mass, you're also losing bone density. Bone density is important at this stage because another thing we are at a higher risk of during perimenopause is developing osteoporosis. We're at higher risk of that if we don't have the bone strength and the bone density. That may happen. Also, when you lift weight, it strengthens it creates new bone tissue and increase bone density, which makes them stronger. And God forbid you should have a fall at this stage, you'll recover faster, right? Because you've been lifting weights and you've been strengthening the bone tissue and the density. A few things I want to caution you on when you're lifting weights. Try staying away from lifting weights during perimenopause to lose belly fat. Try staying away from high intensity workouts. If you already have belly fat to lose and you are completing high intensity workouts, that can be applying a lot of stress to your body, especially if you're doing it 3, 4, 5 times a week. I've had women come to me where they were doing that for a lot of time, for a long period of time. And it worked, but then it stopped working because too much stress on the body. If you love high intensity workout, I would say do it maybe once every other week, right? Also for weight training, I don't suggest weight training more than 4 times a week, a minimum of 2 times, maximum of 4. Because even though weight training is important, so is rest. Because you really build and repair the muscle when you're resting, right? So if you're not giving it time to rest, you're not, with everything else you're doing, it's not gonna build and repair. And what also happen is, for us at this stage, you don't want to overtrain the body. Let me tell you something. I am 45 and I have been lifting for years. And if your girl ever think she's gonna lift more than 4 days a week, and I can't even lift 4 consecutive days, I may want to, I may have the intention to, I may go to the gym and say, I feel good. I did 4 days. I have time today. Let me get a fifth day in. I promise you, when I walk in that gym and I pick up a set of weights, my body's going to be like, who you think working with you? Because it's just like I physically cannot. It's like my hormones are like, baby, I know you think you a baddie, but we 45, we ain't doing this. So it's like then end up doing mobility or just core work. But I also want you to listen to your body. So to recap, if your goal is to lose belly fat, keep belly fat off during perimenopause, you want to add resistance training. You want to be doing resistance training 2 to 4 times a week so you can build mass, because this burn more calories during and after your workout. Yes, you can still do all the other things you enjoy. Just make sure that you are still adding resistance training. All right, gorgeous. I hope you enjoyed the episode. And as I've mentioned before, my goal is to empower women in menopause. And by you sharing this episode with other women, like share it on your stories, then you will definitely be helping me help other women. So go ahead and share it on your stories. And please, when you share it, don't forget to tag me at Train with Trudie. Until the next episode, have a fabulous one.